most of you are, well, not most of you, but a lot of you are having the issue where when you have an IES light, it looks like this. Let me switch this back. Reload that and then switch it to IES. It looks like that, right? So that's because the preview setting that you had it set to when it was a spotlight didn't have a high wattage, but the setting stayed. You know, I don't think it really does anything, but the preview setting stays when you switch from spot to IES. So it doesn't really matter if it looks like this or if you have it go to, you know, 1,000 watts or something like that, and then you switch it over to IES and it's going to look like that. Or if it's such a large wattage, it just fills up the whole space. Okay, that's really all it's doing. So the differences between yours and mine is really just that it was preset with a high wattage. But when you render it, you should have a slider that I believe scales from 0 to 10,000 watts for an IES light no matter what. But don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, what I wanted to point out to you is that these are very different kinds of lights. So what we produced with the IES light, when it was set to 10,000 watts or whatever it's called, it was, yeah, maybe it was 5,000, I forget, 5,000 watts. Looks like that, right? It's a pretty soft light. It's very kind of, I guess, dull. And that's because what it's doing is it's borrowing the light properties from Rhino, which is not super ideal. So you can use your spotlights instead. Okay, IES lights are going to be simple. They'll process a little bit faster, at least in my opinion they do. And it kind of gets you to set the lighting in a way that you kind of understand what it's going to look like in the end. But the more high quality light and the one with more control is going to be a spotlight material that's assigned to a spot. So that was the IES. This is the spotlight material, right? It's not that much tremendously different, right? But the difference I think that is really significant is you can control, let me go back into the spotlight settings. Spot, refresh. I forget what wattage I was using. Let's make this like, I don't know, 300. Let's just make that 750. And let's change our cone angle to, I guess we can widen it to maybe 90 degrees. And we're going to change our fall off angle to 20 degrees, right? These are going to be very, very different kinds of illumination strategies. So now if I go into a draft render, you're going to see it looks vastly different. Okay, so even 30 seconds into the render, you can see that this is vastly different. I have a much higher level of control over the type of light, what it becomes, you know, that kind of thing. So really the gist of it is when you're trying to tilt your lights, you can use IES or Spotlight, but Spotlight's going to give you a lot more control over the quality and spread of light throughout the space. Okay, I would generally say use your IES lights for, you know, kind of scene setting, and then once you get into final basically your final render production, switch them over to spotlights and start messing around with your fall off angles and stuff. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions? All right, let me close this video.